Hi, I'm Francois from Lead Action, where we pride ourselves in supporting your journey as you become the best leader you can be. Thanks for taking the time to view this introduction to the SCHOR360 feedback instrument. In this short introduction, we will discuss what the 360 feedback instrument is, explain the specifics of the SCHOR360, and review the SCHOR360 evaluation process and whom to invite. If I asked you to name the qualities that have served you well so far in your life, what would you say? I'm sure you can identify these qualities from your past successes and experiences. However, in our mind, these qualities are never quite real unless we hear them confirmed by others. We tend to seek others' feedback and validation because feedback is like the needle on the gauge for us. It tells us whether we're meeting the expectations, what we need to work on, and the qualities we can count on in challenging times. Without feedback, we would not be able to refocus our effort, we would not know if we're meeting the other people's need, and output, targets, measures would be meaningless. Feedback is information returned to us, and we all consider it important. The organizations we work in provide us with two types of feedback, informal and formal. Colleagues often give us information in the form of a "good job" without any further details. As for formal feedback, it is typically provided during the performance appraisal, but this feedback is often narrow, focused on a few key objectives. A 360 feedback instrument tells you how you come across to your superiors, your colleagues, and your team members on a wide range of competencies. It can provide you with a sound basis for your personal and professional development. Because of its confidential nature, respondents feel comfortable being sincere. Some of you may worry that people will use this exercise to get even. However, it's been our experience, based on thousands of 360 reports, that people take the exercise very seriously. They complete the questionnaire respectfully and constructively, balancing the tough messages with the strengths of the participant. The SCHOR360 was developed in the early 2000s and used by the UK National School of Government for their managers and top executives and in their project around the world. Lead Action acquired the rights to this tool and has been using it extensively with managers and executives in Canada and abroad. The instrument is available in French, English, Spanish, Inuktitut, Kurdish, and Arabic. The distinctive feature of SCHOR360 is that it's strongly anchored in feedback rather than assessment or evaluation. The creators believe that the people to whom we ask for feedback are not neutral observers or assessors, since they have a working relationship with us. Therefore, the only question they can answer in a totally honest and unbiased way is how our leadership comes across to them. It is very important to note that the SCHOR360 feedback tool is not a performance measurement tool, a job selection tool, or a leadership assessment tool. Its objective is not to diagnose you, assess you, or evaluate you in any way. It's a tool to give you information about yourself and about how you come across to others, and information that is sensitive and tricky to obtain genuinely. You may believe that this information from others will be very subjective, and indeed it is. Isn't it the very nature of feedback, understanding how others perceive you? And that's exactly what makes it useful. For each competency, your respondent will use a scale from 1 to 5, rating how your leadership comes across to them. 5 means that you excel at this, 4 more than they expect from a leader, 3 as they expect from a leader, 2 less than they would expect from a leader, and 1 much less than they expect from a leader. The SCHOR questionnaire is anchored in the competencies that are important for your organization. That is, in the expectations that your organization has of its leaders in its context. For each of these leadership expectations or aspirations, 5 questions are asked. Whether as a leader you strive toward or put personal effort in this expectation, whether you communicate about this expectation and about its importance, whether you help and empower others to achieve the expectation, and whether you observe, which means staying around and seeing how the team reacts, who needs more help, who needs a pat on the back. And all of this wouldn't make sense if in the end it was not used to drive organizational results. It is these behaviors that form the acronym SCHOR: strive, communicate, help, observes, and obtain results. The SCHOR360 follows a simple online process. First, you will receive an email invitation to participate in the SCHOR360 tool. This invitation will contain your password and a link to access the system. Then, once you're connected to the SCHOR system, you will need to perform two tasks. First, complete your self-assessment. You need to answer the questionnaire for yourself, giving yourself the scores representing how you think you're doing. The second task is to invite respondents or raters. These raters will receive an email that will indicate to them their own access code and the deadline for answering the questionnaire. You can reconnect to the system at any time to see the progress of the answers to your 360. You will then meet a certified professional and have a conversation about your report. This conversation again is not an assessment or a diagnostic. The objective of your debriefer is to make sure that you have seen and understood your report, answer any question you may have, and help you select 2 or 3 behaviors or trends that you wish to work on for your own development. In order to have a complete 360 report, you need to have at least 1 boss, 3 colleagues, and 3 direct reports. However, the system allows you to invite as many people as you'd like. When you invite them, you need to specify the type of relationship they have with you. Your boss is your immediate supervisor. A superior is someone higher than you are in the hierarchy, but who does not have a direct supervisory relationship with you. A colleague is someone you work with and who does not have a supervisory relationship with you, while a direct report is someone whose work you supervise directly. There is another category called Others that you may use to invite, for example, a committee you work with, people from another organization, or former team. Its use is completely at your discretion and is not mandatory. Participants often wonder whether they should invite their whole team to answer the questionnaire. Sometimes there are people in our team with whom we have disagreement or even conflicts. When these people are part of the raters, some participant will dismiss the whole feedback of that group because they feel the feedback is tainted by the relationship with this person. Since the objective of the exercise is for you to take stock in your leadership behaviors and improve yourself, we suggest that you invite people whose judgment you trust. Not necessarily the people that will give you only high marks, since completely positive ratings are as unusable as completely negative ratings, but people with whom you will accept the feedback. We also recommend that you invite at least 4 colleagues and 4 direct reports if you can. Since you need to have at least 3 answers and that people forget, get busy, go on holidays or travel, this will help you get a complete report before the deadline for the exercise. We're very serious about confidentiality. Our system respects the highest standard of physical security. Since you send the invitation to your respondent yourself, the system does not know whom you've invited. The information given by the peers and colleagues are not disclosed to you unless there are at least 3 answers in each of these categories to make sure that they cannot be identified. Only 2 paper copies of your report are printed, one for yourself and one for your debriefer, who will hand you his or her copy at the end of the debrief conversation. Our debriefers sign a confidentiality agreement, and they're bound to keep your information and conversations confidential, including never disclosing it to anybody in your hierarchy, your trainers, or the management of lead action. You may wonder how candid people will be answering your 360, or to the contrary, you may be worried about how direct they will be. For your readers to be honest, and confidentiality is key. Do everything you can to protect it. For example, do not go see someone and ask them if they've answered your questionnaire already. Do not try after you got your results to go and see someone and see who said what. Respecting the confidentiality will not ensure that you get a useful report. It will also leave the door open for you to ask again for more feedback in the future. On this slide you see a typical example of a SCHOR question. At the top you see the expectation, which is demonstrate the concerns for the need of others. And for each of the S, C, H, O, R, the respondent must answer if your behavior meets, exceeds, or is below what they expect of a leader. We'll also note that we make extensive use of open-ended questions in order to provide you with more insightful qualitative data. We ask you and your respondent to rate the relative importance of each competency with respect to your function. If you're part of a group of managers receiving a SCHOR360, a group report is also available providing aggregate information on how the group's doing. This is very useful for the group to understand its areas for improvement, unrecognized strengths, and blind spots. In conclusion, it is our experience, again based on thousands of 360 reports and debriefs, that the vast majority of respondents answered a SCHOR360 assessment with the highest respect for the person receiving the report. We have never seen someone being nailed nastily. However, after having completed your 360, your respondent will expect that you will do something with it. From then on, you're doomed to improve, and it's a good thing. If you have any question at the end of this presentation, we invite you to contact us at instruments@lead-action.ca, and it will be a pleasure to answer them. We wish you a rich learning experience.